So after the second week in the new XFL, where's the league stand? We got some good, we got some bad. Now it wouldn't be a startup league if you didn't have some ugly. We also got some strange or bizarre, if you will. So week 2 actually started out with the good, as the XFL got their first shot at Thursday Night Football. You had the relative star power with Josh Gordon on one side versus AJ McCarron, who may not have star ability, but he won 3 national titles at the biggest school in the country. He's played in NFL playoff games, so people know who he is. The game featured 3 lead changes in the last 7 minutes, and if you watched, it kind of felt like both teams deserved to win. But while Josh Gordon and the Sea Dragons did have a few moments, the night will belong to McCarron and the Battlehawks. So McCarron wasn't amazing throughout most of the game, but in the fourth quarter, it seems like dude just comes to life. Bro, twice in the fourth quarter, he drove his team down on gotta have it possessions and put the ball in the end zone. On the first one, he has to make a pinpoint pass to the sideline. Then he hangs in on a blitz and finds his one-on-one mismatch. He really gets smacked, but he makes an accurate throw, and his athletic tight end is able to do the rest.
Walker, back foot, shot to Butler. Hakeem Butler to the 20, trying to leg it, and he's got it. St. Louis has taken the lead. Hakeem Butler with late game magic.
The Sea Dragons, who lead the league in passing yards actually, eventually come back to put their own drive together. Josh Gordon gets a chunk play, a 34-yard reception, and at this point you kinda knew you was finna see something exciting. So then former Cowboys backup Ben DiNucci completes a drive of his own, and the Dragons take the lead. Now in week 1, you might remember McCarron's game-winning drive. Well, in week 2, he'd get another chance to do the same thing. He quickly moves his team down into field goal range, and just like last week, I'll show it to you real quick.
Critical times, he has the experience.
McCarron, back to him. McCarron. Touchdown! Welcome back to Seattle. Hageman for the win. Hageman got the win. St. Louis back-to-back comeback thrillers.
After the game, AJ's story of how he got to the XFL kind of goes a little viral and adds on to the game. People learn things through stories. That's why NFL films exist. So the importance of these stories cannot be understated. It gives you something to root for, a reason to give a damn. Apparently, AJ had the chance to return to the NFL as a backup, which he admits is a really great job. But his sons have always wanted to watch him play, instead of just holding a clipboard for somebody else. So he takes less money, a lot less money, to play in the XFL for a chance to get on the field. And the kids get to watch their dad scratch and claw and play the game like before they was born. It's stories like this that make me love these leagues. Dude making some dope memories for himself and for his kids. And if the XFL lasts, this might be a historic moment. This is the first player to choose the XFL over the NFL. Money is important. There's no doubt about it. Like, you gotta get paid. But it should never be the only thing you consider when making a decision. It's just one factor. Another good thing is this piece of news that dropped this morning. The XFL just signed a multi-year partnership with Under Armour. The Rock has a great working relationship with them already, from his Project Rock apparel line they dropped in 2016. So Under Armour is the official uniform partner for the league, sideline apparel, and youth football partner. And they'll help with other things like fan experience and marketing as the league continues to fight for legitimacy and longevity. Now, as far as the bag goes, the week 1 numbers came in, and compared to 2020, they was pretty damn low. XFL 2020 debuted with several of the broadcasts cruising and hitting over 3 million viewers. Now that number tapered off and eventually settled around 1 million, but this time around they debuted at around 1 million. So if it trends downward like it did the last time, by the end of the year, the numbers could be pretty damn low. For now, they're doing fine, but the numbers aren't ideal. And I don't see no need to panic, but there's something to pay attention to. Now, if you're interested in the league or already enjoying it, my advice is this: don't let the numbers run you off. The viewerships got little to do with the quality of play and more to do with drawing interest from a certain kind of fan. At this point, the league attracts mostly 3 types of fans: football junkies who will watch any decent ball that's on TV, the underdog types who want to see something get built from the ground up, and the people who are tired of the NFL and they're looking for an alternative league to get into. But the fans who love the gaudy stats from individual players and fantasy football numbers versus competitive games, those fans won't be drawn to the league as strongly unless they get some superstar individuals to watch. But using popularity to determine quality has been a bad strategy since you was in high school. But with that said, you still have to draw enough interest to be a profitable business over the long term. If they continue to average around 1 million viewers, that should be plenty enough to keep them on the air. There's a whole lot of spring sports that get a whole lot less viewers and have been on TV every year for over a decade. But football is different. It costs a lot to keep the league going, so the standards for the viewership could be a lot higher. I think the owners have done a good job early building trust, but we'll see how serious they are if the viewership don't increase. They gotta be willing to ride out these first couple of years and make slow progress little by little. If they're not mentally and financially prepared to do that, then the league just won't last. Like, it needs time to grow. Now, another bad thing is the Vegas Vipers. Matter of fact, we're gonna go ahead and call this one ugly. While most teams in the league play in respective football stadiums, the XFL was unable to land a top stadium in Vegas, so they had to shuffle around with what they had to make it work. And when you're forced to do that, you don't always get the best results. So the XFL ended up securing Cashman Field, a AAA baseball stadium built in '83. Bro, the field is just bad, and it features dead grass that had to be spray painted before the game started. Not only that, but they had to create a little makeshift press box that Twitter had some fun with. Then, to make matters worse and exacerbate the field issues, it starts to rain like, oh my goodness. Now, this just so happened to be the one game I missed this week, so I didn't see it live and don't know the full extent, but I saw a bunch of people talking bad about the issue, and what sucks is I'm not sure there's anything they can do about it. They're probably locked into that field for the remainder of the season. But I do think it's unfair to cast judgment on the league as a whole, all because one single venue has issues. The NFL, which I love and mostly cover on this channel, has had several subpar fields that have been a problem for years. In this year's biggest game, the Super Bowl, remember? The field was super slick and affected the whole game. So this is an issue that football leagues of every size all have to deal with, so let's give them time to handle it. I actually dropped a video about some of the NFL's field issues, which mostly deal with artificial turf and different types. If you want to check it out, I'll just link it at the end, because I'd imagine a lot of people are probably unaware. Now, on to the bizarre, the most interesting stories of the entire week, at least as far as I'm concerned. Like, bro, it's weird as hell, and it was jarring when I heard it, but the XFL might actually be able to spin it in their favor. So the XFL kind of has this hybrid bubble structure, but all the teams are either in or near the XFL hub. Now, the hub is located in Arlington, Texas, so all the teams are pretty much stationed around that. So when they play in DC, for example, both teams get on a plane, and not just any plane, they got to get on the same plane. But for Houston and Arlington, it's even worse because they actually practice in the same facility. They even eat in the same cafeteria area. So on the weeks that they play, it's obviously awkward. So this was clearly done to control the expenses, and it makes sense to control spending in a startup league. I've seen 3 other leagues basically run out of money, so I understand why something like this actually makes sense. Now, some people probably heard this and turned up their noses, but while it's not ideal, it might not be all bad. It adds yet another level of competition to the games. You playing for the right to be happy on the plane ride home. Like, everybody knows when you lose on the road, that ride back home, it's a long one, you know? And everybody knows when you win on the road, that ride back home can turn into a party. So imagine going into a game and you know whoever loses has to listen to the other team party all the way back. You're sitting back there with your head down, visualizing what you did wrong, while the other team celebrates and puts jewelry on the quarterback. Bro, I kind of think it's hilarious and it's extra motivation. And there might be room for the XFL to actually lean into this. In a league that gives you so much extra access, from play calls on the sideline to the review system up in the booth, 1 or 2 camera guys is really all it would take to get some great contrasting shots on these team planes. It just adds extra meaning to a regular season game, and I'm really not sure that that's ever a bad thing. Let's say 5 years from now, what if the XFL is thriving and they build out more hubs so teams don't have to share planes? Once per season, they come back to the shared plane ride dynamic as a cool celebration of where the league started. Just a fun mid-season, like classic type of game, basically a mini bowl game in the middle of the season. You want to talk about having real life bragging rights on the line? Cause don't nobody want to be that team riding back with the L. It could be a cool way to commemorate the league's early struggles. Don't be ashamed of what you came from. Instead, just embrace it. You'll never satisfy those who want it to be the NFL. And that's cool, forget them. Just embrace what makes you different.